What if the ancient legends of America hide more than myth? What if scattered across the land, in the oldest memories of its first peoples, there are echoes of another kind of being, small, hidden, powerful, and still lurking in the edges of forgotten forests and remote mountains? Today, on Echoes of America, we unravel the mysterious tales of fairies, little people, and hidden tribes of ancient America. These aren't fairy tales, as we've been taught in European lore. These are ancient, indigenous stories, whispered down generations, of beings who lived alongside humanity, sometimes helping, sometimes haunting. They are watchers, tricksters, healers, and warriors, and they might still be out there. Let's dive into the forgotten world of America's hidden folk. Across the North American continent, indigenous tribes from Alaska to Florida tell eerily similar stories of little people. These aren't Disney characters. They are often described as 3 to 4 feet tall, with long hair, sharp teeth, and powerful magic. They are tricksters, shapeshifters, sometimes helpers, sometimes kidnappers. Among the Cherokee, they are known as the Unsettling, the little people. They live in remote mountains, rarely seen unless they choose to be. They can vanish into rock or trees, and they often appear to those in spiritual distress, offering comfort or punishment. The Sioux speak of the Coyote, forest-dwelling dwarves with supernatural strength and knowledge of medicine. The Choctaw remember the Bopoli, forest spirits who drum in the woods, steal children, or teach sacred songs. The Inuit describe Ijirite, elusive beings who live in another plane of reality and are only glimpsed in the corner of your vision. These stories span nations, separated by thousands of miles, but they resonate with astonishing similarity. Ancient beings who dwell in the cracks of reality, just out of reach. Now here's where myth bleeds into mystery. Early European settlers and explorers reported finding tiny skeletons buried in mounds across the Midwest and the South, some allegedly no more than 3 feet tall, often with elongated skulls. These accounts, while controversial and often dismissed as misinterpretation or fabrication, recur with striking frequency. In the 19th century, newspapers carried stories of pygmy graves discovered in Tennessee, Ohio, and Kentucky. Some reports claimed tiny weapons and tools were found with the bones, and even stone chambers perfectly proportioned for miniature beings. Of course, modern archaeologists often label these remains as children or victims of disease, but the legends say otherwise. In Cherokee stories, the little people buried their dead just like humans, in small mounds with respect. Some mounds were said to hum at night or glow faintly, signals, they claimed, that the little ones still watched. Could these be remnants of a hidden race that coexisted with early native peoples? Or perhaps they existed in a world just beyond our physical perception? The Mandan and Hidatsa tribes of the Great Plains also have stories of encounters with the little ones. In their oral histories, they speak of encounters with miniature people who lived underground in perfectly carved cities, venturing out only at night. One story tells of a Mandan hunter who followed strange lights into the hills and found a small stone door hidden among the roots of a tree. Inside, he met tiny beings who welcomed him, showed him their homes, and healed a wound with glowing herbs. When he returned, no one believed him, until he showed them a stone knife, too small for a human hand, but sharp as obsidian. In another story, the little people warned the tribe of a coming flood and led them to high ground, only to vanish before dawn. These aren't isolated stories. They echo through the mythologies of tribe after tribe. Beings who live beneath, who possess knowledge and foresight, and who interact with humans when the veil is thin. The Shoshone of the American West speak of the Nimerigar, fierce little warriors who wield bows and poisoned arrows, attacking intruders with deadly precision. According to legend, they lived in caves and attacked full-sized humans if provoked. Some versions of the story paint them as protectors of the land, striking down those who disrespected sacred places. In 1932, two gold prospectors in Wyoming reportedly discovered a mummified body of a small humanoid in the San Pedro Mountains, barely over a foot tall, with a fully formed skull and tiny teeth. The body was studied by scientists at the time, who could not agree on its origin. Some said it was an infant, others called it a hoax, but local tribes immediately identified it as one of the Nimerigar. To them, this was proof, not myth. The mummy later vanished from public view, and today its whereabouts remain unknown. But that single find sparked renewed curiosity and fear of what might still lurk in the mountain shadows. In the misty hollows of the Appalachian Mountains, whispers of the little folk still persist. Locals speak of flickering lights in the woods, sudden laughter from nowhere, and objects rearranged or stolen. The Melungeons of the Appalachians, an isolated group with mysterious origins, tell stories of being watched by small shadowy figures in the trees. Some legends even claim their ancestors intermarried with the little people, gaining heightened senses or spiritual gifts. In Vermont, there are tales of wood gnomes who guard sacred springs. In the Ozarks, they're called fairy folk, who emerge during certain moon phases. Even among settlers, the stories took hold. Appalachian granny witches passed down herbal knowledge, said to be gifted by small forest beings who appeared in dreams or visions. These weren't seen as fairy tales, they were treated as fact. So who or what were these little people? Were they a distinct physical species, an undiscovered race of miniature hominids? Or are they something less tangible, more spiritual? Some researchers suggest the little people were spirit guardians of the land, nature elementals that took visible form to those sensitive enough to perceive them. Others theorize they were refugees from a forgotten civilization, driven underground by cataclysm, slowly shrinking to survive. There are also those who believe the little people dwell in another dimension, one that occasionally overlaps with ours through sacred portals, caves, forests, mounds, or moments of deep ceremony. It's no coincidence that sightings often occur during vision quests near burial mounds or at power spots aligned with the stars. The symbolism suggests they represent hidden knowledge, ancestral memory, and the sacredness of nature. Even in recent times, reports continue to surface. Campers in the Pacific Northwest have claimed to see tiny humanoid figures darting between trees. Hikers in the Smoky Mountains report strange laughter at night, or glimpses of something just beyond the firelight. In Alaska, bush pilots and trappers tell of the Inukins, little mountain people with red eyes who appear during blizzards. Children especially seem to report sightings of tiny people in gardens, woods, or dreams, often sharing messages or warnings. Could this be imagination? Certainly. But could it also be perception, unfiltered by adult skepticism? That's harder to dismiss. In some cases, entire families have reported seeing the same small beings during camping trips or spiritual ceremonies. Whatever they are, the little people have not vanished. They have simply stepped deeper into the shadows. The legends of the little people, fairies, and hidden tribes are more than just stories. They are a thread connecting ancient memory to the present. They appear across cultures, continents, and centuries. Maybe they are real. Maybe they are spirit guides. Maybe they are echoes of a civilization we've forgotten, or a part of our world we've yet to understand. In a time when we think we've mapped everything, perhaps these beings remind us that there are still mysteries beneath our feet and within our forests. If we listen closely, with respect and curiosity, we might just hear their laughter or their warning. Until next time, keep your mind open and your ears tuned to the forgotten echoes of America. Thanks for watching.